Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LFC Roundtable podcast. This is the podcast where we break down everything from the feeds. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is Melissa Denny. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm great. I'm excited to be back, and I'm excited to be talking about Big Brother. I was traveling all this last week, but I was keeping updated by Twitter and even going so far as to buying internet on the international flight because it was during the double eviction. So I was like freaking out, and I was having my mom text me about everything. And eventually I was like, I just need to get internet. I need to check Twitter. I need to see what's going on. So I'm very excited to be back. Thank God I got back before finale.
Yes, making your triumphant return to the roundtable. Also with me tonight is Brent Walgamont. How you doing, Brent?
I'm doing great. I'm glad Melissa's back. She can help me gang up on you as well and hopefully take down the stock watch. I did my part last week. I saw that she did her part as well. So we can make a match of it yet.
Sounds like there's been some collusion going on.
There has not been.
No
I tried
collusion.
last time. You saw what happened last time. I tried to collude with her, and she basically said, F you, Brent, I'm double-crossing you.
Yeah, well.
And she bought the Brett stock.
Whoopsies.
So I said no to that.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I've come pretty close to being able to shut you guys out, but I don't think I will be able to, unfortunately. Almost. I'm going to have to pick a winner here.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, exactly.
I really struggled with my stock choices this year. Very unfortunate.
Yes. So we are here live on Tuesday night to argue about what's been happening on the Big Brother 20 live feeds and what's been happening on them all season long, really. This is the last roundtable of the season. We will probably do some kind of wrap up afterward and really kind of put the season into its proper context. But this is the last roundtable during the season. We'll make our final stock watch picks, the final ratings. We've got plenty of questions. We're going to be predicting how the jury's going to vote, who's going to take who. We know who's going to take who. Let's be honest. But we are here live on YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch, and you can send questions into me on Twitter at ArmstrongTaran if you so desire. And let's talk about the week. Not a whole lot of developments other than just what we kind of expected since last week. Obviously, last week when we were talking, we knew that Sam was leaving, and so she did leave. And then toward the end of the podcast, it was a very great moment. We were very excited. JC won the Final Four HOH. Turned out to kind of be a bad thing because we then got Kaycee, who won the veto, which meant that we kind of lost the sort of who's Tyler gonna choose whole thing of it. So Kaycee, of course, is going to evict Angela. Angela decided to kind of lay down on her own sword because she felt like Tyler had a better chance to win. He's going to let her know that he's a super fan. Melissa, we haven't had your thoughts on this yet. How did you feel about Angela's exit here?
I felt good about it, I guess. I mean, I was kind of hoping for... I guess I was excited that JC got HOH, but at the same time, I was a little excited to see the choice be made when level 6 has to really go against each other, not like JC gets someone from level 6 out. I kind of wanted to see what would happen if Kaycee or Tyler had to get Angela out themselves, not just voting, but I mean like actually like winning HOH and then the other person votes and then they both have to be like, we're getting this person out. So it was a little like lackluster for me. I just felt like I was hoping for more drama as we got down the stretch. But yeah, I like the fact that Tyler explained that he's a super fan. I'm a little concerned that Tyler is not really doing enough to explain his game to the people who are leaving. I mean, I'm sure Angela knows his game, but I don't know if she knows as intensely he was like working with the other side and stuff like that. Like, I think that it's hard to explain that to someone that you're supposed to be like totally in with, but yeah, I'm a little concerned for Tyler as we move down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, since the last roundtable, I spent over 3 hours trying to talk about Tyler's Big Brother 20 game, and it was a jam-packed 3 hours. I could not fit even close to all of the things that Tyler was doing throughout the season. So how are you going to explain that to the jury in just a couple of minutes? You can't really do it. That is definitely a concern, because I do feel like the jury understands that Tyler's been playing the game, right? We saw the jury segment. They talked about how, oh, you had a final two with Tyler? I had a final two with Tyler. Pretty much what I expected, but they don't really understand like from day one, he had over half the house on his side, and just like has been really calling the shots like all the way through. I think if they listened to the podcast that we did about Tyler's game, they would be like, wow, we had no idea it was anything like even close to that. So with that being said, I feel like in their eyes it might be a lot more like, well, Tyler did some things, but Kaycee also did some things, and so maybe they're kind of a little bit even though maybe they just they really don't sort of see the full extent of what Tyler's been doing. Where are you at on this, Brent?
Well, here's the thing. We're listening to the live feed updates when you went over the games. It became clear to me that, if anything, Tyler certainly played the most game. He played the most game out of anybody by far, and it's not close. Like, everything came across his desk. He was involved in every decision, and there were a few decisions that maybe he wasn't totally a part of, like Scottie's HOH or Sam's HOH, but he knew when to pull back. Okay, having said that, though, I feel like this season's going to be decided one way or the other on whether or not you think Tyler played a dirty game, okay? Because Kaycee got to the end with a final two. How many? One. And that person is in the final two with her. Tyler got to the end with how many final twos? 6. Now, are they going to view that as great gameplay? Or are they going to view that as, you didn't need to do that, you were playing dirty, we're not going to respect you? I can honestly see it both ways. Yeah. And if they decide that we're going to respect that you played your butt off, you tricked all of us, we fell for it hook, line, and sinker, then he's going to win. Yeah. However, if they feel like that, you know what, look at this girl next to you. She didn't need to do all of that. Like, she went out there and won competitions. Her game is so much cleaner than yours, okay? And you didn't need to hurt all our feelings. You didn't need to play that dirty. Why did you do that, Tyler? If he can't explain that and convince them that, hey, this was gameplay, I wasn't trying to make you guys look like idiots, then I feel like he might be in some trouble. But it's all about Tyler, I feel like, one way or the other.
Yeah, I also think an issue for Tyler that's potentially going to come up is the fact that a lot of his gameplay centered around him saying, trust me, just trust me. Do you trust me? Like, make sure you need to trust me on this. And that's like, something that a lot of the players who are like, I trusted you. You told me to trust you, and I did, and I put my life in your hands, and then this is how you repay me. I think that's going to pose a big issue. It's not Tyler just being like, let's work together on this. Let's do this or whatever, like very open-ended kind of ways of getting people to do what you want. Instead, his was like, you need to trust me on this. Like, do you trust me? And looking them right in the eyes. And I think that is something that's a lot more personal than just being like, hey, let's make this move or this is better for your game or something like that. That's not really as like personal as like a connection of like, trust me on this. And I think that people, if they're hurt by anything, it's going to be that.
Yeah, I see it. Jane in the chat saying, if the jury votes emotional, Tyler will lose. I'm just going to respectfully reject that. I feel like that there is a way for Tyler to lose and the jury's not voting emotionally. I would also reject the fact that, if the jury votes emotionally, that's their right. That Tyler might have made them emotional. Look, here's the thing. I feel like that it's like, I think back to Dan in 14, where he's making all these deals and cutting people. He's got the blood coming up to here, left and right. I feel like the more final twos you make and the more final twos you break, there is an invoice that becomes bigger and bigger for you to pay. And it just remains to be seen to me whether or not Tyler's going to be able to pay it at the end. Look, here's the thing. I think that he I will say this, that I think that Tyler should win the game. Okay. I listened to the feed updates on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Very well done, by the way, Taran. Yeah. And it just becomes so clear to me that Kaycee is but a soldier. She is but a tool. And as Rob said on the podcast on Sunday night with Matt, what's the difference between Kaycee and JC at this point? The difference is that Tyler picked Kaycee. That's the only difference. If he's picking JC, we'd be looking at Kaycee going, ha, 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 what a fool she is. Like, that's literally the only difference between them right now, is that one of them is being played and the other one is not. So I just worry that he has gotten himself into a position where he cannot win. Having said that, though, looking back at his game, I think that he should win, because I don't feel like Kaycee does much of anything without Tyler's guidance. And by virtue of that, I feel like he should win. Now, whether or not he can explain that in a way that doesn't disrespect Kaycee to the jury and somehow gets the jury to see, like, remember, he has like a minute and a half, maybe a minute to explain his game. How the hell is he going to do that when it took Taran 3.5 hours to tell you what the hell was going on during it? Like, I don't think
problem since they changed the format.
I don't think they give a shit what happened back in week 1, week 2. I think you should just avoid all of that. I think you should stick to like the bare bones, like the big moves that happened. Haleigh, Brett, because those are the movers and shakers on the jury. If you can convince them that hey, this is why I had to do that to you guys, because those are the people that were done the worst. Okay, I feel like if you can get those people on your side, he can win the game. If he cannot get those people on his side, it's a lost cause.
Yeah. I'm really looking at this in terms of Tyler and whether he wins or loses, as, in Big Brother 18, Big Brother 19, Big Brother Celebrity, even Big Brother Canada 6 to some extent, I was looking at these potential finalists and going, there's a lot along the way that I can point to as like, this was a big faux pas. This was a big mistake. You really mishandled the jury here. You really didn't even have a plan for the jury here. And I don't see that with Tyler this year. I feel like there are no obvious mistakes that Tyler has made with the jury. The worst thing you can point to is what happened with Bayleigh. But, what happened with Bayleigh was that everyone got in trouble with Bayleigh. We talked about that with Kaycee's, game recap as well. And that was the worst jury management he had, which was like, he got a little emotional because he got put up on the block. He thought Bayleigh did it. He got a bit cocky, and he said good morning one too many times with his shades on. And like that compared to somebody like Paul, who like actively went on harassment campaigns and belittled people and made them feel stupid on purpose. Like, this is a dramatic difference, and Paul only lost by 1 vote. So in looking at like what Tyler has done with jury management, I'm not looking at it like Tyler has definitely done something wrong to piss off the jury, to make them angry, whatever. I'm looking at it more in terms of just like, he just never really had a shot against somebody who didn't piss off, who didn't do anything to the jury. You know what I mean? Like Kaycee was just never beatable for him, and so his only end game goal was to get there not next to Kaycee. In a similar way that he couldn't have won against Haleigh, like Derek couldn't have won against somebody like maybe Donnie. You know what I mean? Like, if you get there against the wrong person, you're just always going to lose, regardless of how well you managed or didn't manage the jury. And I feel like if Kaycee beats Tyler, that was just how it goes for Tyler. I like, and we can probably. And
I feel like he's at peace with that. Don't you feel like he's at peace with that?
I agree. And so like, I think that there are things that we are going to, once the jury votes, and if Tyler loses, we can hopefully talk with some of these jury members and ask them what their criteria was, why they voted the way that they did, and we will be able to go back and, with retrospect, look at specific moments that Tyler might have been able to influence the jury slightly more in his favor. But I really feel like, for the most part, this is not necessarily due to a Tyler error if he loses, more than it is just kind of like, sorry man, you should have gotten there with somebody other than Kaycee or JC. He should have kept Angela in the game.
Yeah, I think also I could be totally off, but my thinking is that if the jury decides not to vote for Tyler, I think it's less about them being just super mad at him and like the bad moves that or like bad jury management that he had. I think it's more the fact that he made himself look like a dumb surfer guy for like the majority of the game. And I don't know if they'll see past that to see that the whole time he was strategic and making these moves and calling the shots and really leading the charge on where the game went. And I think that they're just going to assume that Kaycee played just as well as him, but didn't do anything wrong. And I think that if Tyler was able to show everyone in the jury that, like, hey, if they give him like the 3 hours that you had, you know, hey, these are all the moves I made, this is everything I did, then I think they might have a different perspective on him. But at this point, it's hard to see that, since like he purposely tried to stay in the shadows and then didn't come out to anyone as they were leaving, which I was hoping he would do, is like say, hey guys, like this is what's up as they're going out the door. And I mean, I think the only thing he can really say is, I think the best thing he can say that could help him is the super fan thing. Like, I'm a super fan this whole time. I've been hiding that because X, Y, and Z. And like, you know,
but
I knew I had to play
heart,
the game.
Though.
Yeah.
It has to be with heart. Like Tara says in the chat, Brent, do you think Tyler can say anything in his speech to change a vote in the final 2 minutes? Yes, I do, Tara. I think it's a long shot, but because sometimes these juries, they decide what they're going to do, and they're, you know, like last year, Cody was like, I'm going to stick to my word. Obviously, they had decided something ahead of time. Yes, but I do think, just to talk about that, I do think Whistle Nuts' vote was live. I think Paul could have gotten it if he said the right thing. So I'm going to be Tyler for a second. Pardon the acting. Here it goes. All right. So I'm Tyler. You have to meet the fact that you screwed these people over head on. You can't like he knows he screwed over 5 people that he had a final 2 with. He cannot just hope that gets swept under the rug.
Yeah. Or that they're just cool with it.
It's going to come up. So meet it head on. Hey, guys, I'm actually a super fan. I've loved this game since the day that I started watching it. It means so much to me. I've actually had my hands in a lot of different things that have been going on in the game right now, but you don't want to hear about that right now. What you want to hear about is what I did to you. And for those of you out there, there are many of you that I made a final 2 with, that they were not real, and I never intended for them to be real. I want you to know that the relationships that I formed with you guys, those were real, okay? But I was playing the game as hard as I could. I felt like I was a big target coming in, and maybe I was wrong on that. Maybe I was never really a target. But I want you to know that if I hurt you, that I take responsibility for that. I apologize to you because I made you look foolish or I did you wrong, okay? But I need your vote here, and I really want to win this game. Like, he has to show some contrition in order to get there.
Isn't it crazy that, like, in modern Big Brother, it's like all of, like, your final 2 plea as to, like, how you played the strongest is, like, has to be essentially an apology. Like, it has to be, like, you being like, please, like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I hurt all of you. Like, don't, please, just, like, forgive me.
That's how it's always been. But that's how it's always been. I mean,
I know, but I feel like it used to be more like, hey, it's a game, guys. And now I feel like it's like, if you say it's a game, guys, they'll be like, it's my heart you're talking about. And everyone will be, like, super pissed off.
I do think a lot of that has to do with the final jury format. But I think the thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around is that, it feels like we're trying so hard to find, like, if Tyler loses, what did he do wrong with the jury? What mistakes did he make? And it feels to me like anytime I look for something, I'm reaching for it. Like, it's like you can think maybe this is where he went wrong. Maybe this is where he went wrong. But I think the thing that hit me is that it wasn't something to do with jury management. It was more a strategic mistake. It was a strategic error from Tyler's part for going to the end with the people that he's gone to. Like, these conversations about, like, Tyler's jury management mistakes would be completely irrelevant if Kaycee was not in the final 3.
If like Sam was in the final.
If it was Tyler and Angela up in part 3 about to take each other to the end, we'd be saying, Tyler did an amazing job at managing the jury. They all loved Tyler all game. He had one of the best social games we've ever seen. Like most players, they can't beat everybody. They can only beat a select few amount of people. And I feel like Tyler has just misidentified the people that he can definitely beat. And I think that I think that it's really that he underestimated Kaycee's ability to win a jury vote,
as did we all,
and didn't care as much that Kaycee could win a jury vote, because I think he just genuinely wanted to be there with the people that he felt were the most loyal to him.
I feel like he got married. Yeah.
Yes.
I want to ask Tyler at the end, like, why did you continue to stick with Kaycee? Why didn't you change course when you saw that she was winning all of these, vetoes and all of these competitions, and that everybody liked her, and that there was no issue with Kaycee, and that, she was a friend to all? Why didn't you reevaluate and take somebody else? I mean,
because Brett wanted to get her out. There was a moment in time where Brett wanted to get her out. I mean, he could have burned Kaycee in the final 6, and everybody would have been on board with that. Brett still wanted to go to the final 2 with him. Angela, I don't know who's she gonna go to at that point.
And also, it's not like Tyler has no idea that Angela is hated in the jury. Scottie came back in being like, "Oh yeah, everybody hates Angela." If I'm Tyler, I'm thinking, okay, I'm taking Angela to the end. First of all, it's the easiest move to make because she's my showman. So like, why not? Like, she wants to take me, I'll just take her. And also, like, if that's an easy win for you, why continue to take Kaycee when you know that everyone likes her? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
It's about that, and it's about the fact that he made, 5, 6 final 2s, and Kaycee, the person sitting next to him, only made 1, and the one she made is the one she stuck by and took to the final 2. So, like, if there, I know we're reaching, and I take your point, Taran, that there is a little bit of reaching going on, but I do think that there is a there when it comes to you willy-nilly made all these final 2s of people when you didn't need to. I think you needed to make a couple. I think there are others that he didn't need to make.
But I think the thing I'm saying is that, like, if I'm talking to a player going into Big Brother, I am not going to tell them, be careful of Tyler's mistake. He made too many final 2s and then lost the game to Kaycee because he made too many final 2s. I'm going to say, no. Make all the final 2s you want. Just make sure you bring the Angela to the end. That's all you needed to do, because with all those final 2s, you had complete control over the outcome of the season. All you needed to do was bring the Angela to the end. It's a very, very easy and clear change to make in your game.
I know that you disagree with me. I still think he did not try as hard as he could have in that final 4 veto. I mean, maybe he didn't throw it, but I feel like he threw it. I do.
And if he threw it, then that's, I think, his biggest mistake of the game. Because like I said, I think that it is more of a strategic error than a social one for Tyler here. Is that he's really just taking the wrong. And I think that he could have even brought JC to the end, and he still might be able to. But I think he could have brought JC to the end if he had cut the other members of Level 6 first, and it had been like him and JC. And JC is terrible with jury management. If JC is not seen as the lone wolf against the lone underdog against Level 6 making his way to the end, then I think Tyler easily beats JC. If it's like if Tyler is able to represent him and JC as what they actually were, which was like the Dan in Memphis for a long time, then I think that he can take JC and Sam to the final 3, and he's in a position where he wins no matter what. But instead, he was too loyal to Level 6 and obviously too loyal to Kaycee and Angela without even necessarily wanting to take Angela. And so I feel like I feel like it's just a miscalculation on setting up his end game in the correct way, where he knows that because there were plenty of people that Tyler could beat in the final 2. There were very, very few people that he could not beat, and one of those people might happen to be Kaycee.
And he still might win the game.
For everybody who's going to come at us and say, why are you guys being so hard on Tyler? Kaycee's bringing Tyler to the end, so like, why aren't you being hard on her? It's because I didn't have any faith that Kaycee was going to take anyone other than Tyler, and that she was going to do anything strategic when it came to who she was going to take to the end. I think Tyler, on the other hand, I could see him taking someone strategically to the end. He's not, but I could have seen that from him. I couldn't see that from Kaycee. I think Kaycee's just like blindly loyal and would take Tyler no matter what. No matter if she knew she couldn't win, I think she'd take Tyler anyway. But Tyler, I feel like he cares more about winning than like, am I going to take Kaycee to the end? But I think that, so that's why.
Yeah, and again, it's like we spend a lot of time focusing on nitpicking Tyler's mistakes because Kaycee's mistakes are a lot more glaringly obvious in the sense that, we went over it this morning. Kaycee's game, essentially the cliff notes of this morning are she basically went into the game. She was a loyal soldier. She was a team player. And again, like this, it sounds derogatory, but she didn't do anything on her own. She never made a single move without being told to do something. And there was never any piece of information that she knew that Tyler did not know. And there was never a relationship that she formed that was not initiated by another person. And that's not to say that she didn't play a good game, because she did. I think that she is easily an above average player. I think that she's played a good game. I think that's why why it's a mistake for Tyler to take her to the final two. I think that she would not be a bad winner. There have been bad winners. I don't think Kaycee would be one of them. But there is a huge difference between Tyler's game and Kaycee's game, and it's almost impossible to really critique Kaycee's game moves because she genuinely doesn't really have any to critique. She just is who she is. So to say like, it's a mistake for Kaycee to do this, it's like, well, she's not even making that calculation. She's just being who she is. And so being who she is has gotten her here. And if she wasn't this person, then maybe she wouldn't even be here in the first place because, she's playing a very, very different game. So I think it's important to point that out as well in terms of like why we're focusing so much on Tyler.
Exactly. Her mistakes are so obvious. It's like she had a chance to take out Tyler at the final five. She could have forced Angela to put Tyler up if she uses the veto on either Sam or JC and vote him out. And then she also could have voted him out at the final four. And both times she chose to stand by him. So she goes to the end and loses the game to Tyler. We know why she lost. Yeah. That's why she lost. She could have taken Angela and she decided to stick with Tyler. Tyler, on the other hand, it's just because he had his hands in so many cookie jars. Excuse me. And I feel like it's just, and because he's such a super fan of the show and he's just been involved in everything so much, and I give him so much credit for that. I mean, again, it's not my, what did John say in Marquesas when he was voting for Besepia? It's not, he said, it's not my something, but you go girl or something like that. And that's kind of how I feel about Tyler. Like, it's not my way of it's not my style. I think that's what he said. It's not my style, but you go girl. I wanted him to play a bigger game, I agree with Melissa. There were times where I wanted him to tell people and work them on their way out. Hey, I'm a super fan. Hey, I knew this was happening. You give them a little bit to go to the jury with. He basically gave them nothing and just blindsided the hell out of people left and right.
Yeah, except for Scottie's thing, which was handled in a poor way. It was like, tell your friends.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't come back
like,
to
you're
bite
stupid.
him.
It's like, don't. It's not
like
the way to handle it. Yeah, if I was Scottie, I'd be like, okay, first of all, rude. And second of all, no, I'm not going to tell my friends. Like, that's so insulting. So, yeah, don't like that.
And then Julie, sticks in the knife, like, so are you going to tell your friends?
Exactly. It's like, I'd be like, no, of course not.
Terrence just lost it this year. He was like, I'm so over Julie Chen.
I was kind of over Julie Chen earlier in the season. But yeah, it's it's correctly being pointed out. By Trey Bien in the chat that like the battle back is kind of I'm sooner gonna blame production for the lack of like great reveals because of the whole battle back situation. Not only this season but in previous seasons, it's really putting a lid on like how much you can really reveal to people in your goodbye messages, especially given the fact that they see the goodbye messages and come back into the house. God forbid Rockstar or Bayleigh even. Could you imagine if Bayleigh had come back in? If Brett had not left Bayleigh the goodbye message where he outs himself as having betrayed her, then Bayleigh would have come back into the house believing that Brett was still on her side. But instead, she saw that goodbye message and would have re-entered the house knowing that Brett is a two-faced, devious liar and everything that Rockstar ever called him. That's a dramatic difference. And it's because of goodbye messages. And it's Brett trying to be entertaining. And what he should have done, based on what the show presents you with, is... Bayleigh, I love you. You're great. I'm going to be sad to see you go. Which is very frustrating to me, friend.
Well, they shouldn't have jury battle backs then. They should bring all the people pre-jury, bring them, because those are what the cuckoo crazy people are always the pre-jury people. Bring them back. Because, no one's in jury yet. You can say whatever the hell you want. Bring a couple people back from I'm fine with. Fine. But once you get to jury, do not bring people back, because then people start worrying about what can I say in this message. And, and I want good TV, Melissa. That's what I want. I want good TV. And if they can't give me good TV if they're worrying about that.
I want to be able to advise people so that like when you go into the house, don't be afraid to make entertaining moves. Like, don't be afraid to do things that are entertaining, because I think it's overstated how bad entertaining things can be sometimes. But so I really hate it when I have to say, No, the correct strategy is to be as boring as possible in your goodbye messages. Don't reveal anything until the battle back absolutely is over, and you make sure the second battle back isn't coming as well. And then also you just be as nice and bland as possible. Like I hate that's the correct advice. I hate it.
Yeah.
I see Starlet in the chat saying blame Kaitlyn. Did you want to talk about that interview now, or do you want to talk about that later?
We can talk about it now. There was an interview with the 5 pre-jurors where they were asked various questions about the season, including who they are rooting for to win the game. It's actually pretty funny. I think they were all in the same room together because they seem to be interacting, but it's a text interview. But they got pretty snippy with each other, which was pretty interesting. But yeah, earlier on in the season, it seemed like Swaggy left the house. He seemed very bitter. He seemed very upset with Tyler and what went down. And Kaitlyn seemed to be like, what a great sport Kaitlyn is. Season later, and a Tangela later, we get a bit of a flip-flop here. Swaggy was saying Tyler's played the best game by far. He should win this thing. And Kaitlyn is like, did you know, though, that Tyler betrayed me and manipulated me? He doesn't deserve to win anything. I was like, whoa.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I will say.
I did not see that interview.
Look, I love you, Kaitlyn, as do we all. But, honey, I must call you out for your BS in this interview. There was at one point where you said that, Tyler, he really didn't need to manipulate me like that. He didn't really need to make me feel like that I was falling in love with him. Yes, he did, bitch.
Yeah.
That's how he got you to do everything he wanted you to do. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I thought you were living in Never Neverland when she said that. I'm like, you were like on bended knee for him. And then there were other times where you were manipulating him for more attention. But it was all emotional manipulation through both of you. It's like she doesn't know any of her BS during that whole relationship. It's all about him. So, girl, sit your ass down. I don't want to hear about it. And I was laughing reading that part of the interview.
Yes. I believe the final count was 3-2 in favor of Tyler. I think Swaggy, Winston, and Steve were all on board with Tyler, and then Rachel and Kaitlyn said they were team Kaycee. So that's Tyler talked about I cannot have Kaitlyn in the jury house because she's gonna be bitter, and a lot of people thought he was wrong for a really long time, but turns out he was right.
They were right. They were right. Yeah, he was right. I will say that I agree with you about the switcheroo there with Swaggy and Kaitlyn. It's like who are you people anymore? Swaggy was the grown-up in the room, and then Kaitlyn was the one who was just complaining about everything.
All of a sudden, I'm like Team Swaggy. Like Swaggy sounds great in this interview. I'm liking. I loved Swaggy right up until his eviction, and then it got a little hairy on Twitter there for a bit. But if this is Swaggy again, like the Swaggy that I knew from the house, then I'm on board.
I knew.
Yeah. Winston was very fun in the interview. I enjoyed him. He gave JC some credit for how well of a game he's played when asked who he was going to vote for, but I think he ultimately voted for Tyler to win. Rachel said something amazing where she was like, me and Kaycee basically played the same game, and I'm like, yeah, I saw your 5 vetoes that you won too, and an HOH. Yeah, sit down, whatever. You won nothing. Shut up. Who else? Steve. Steve was
great. Steve was the best one.
Great.
Yeah,
just like he has every reason to be as bitter as hell. Because he, basically got bamboozled on something that he couldn't control. The fact that Sam had a power. Now, Sam can't lie about the power, but then Sam told Tyler about the power, and Tyler can lie about the power because Tyler doesn't know what the power actually is. So he can lie all he wants because he didn't get any information from production. So he lies to Kaitlyn again, as Taran correctly pointed out on the feed update reviewing Tyler's game. Didn't make a lick of sense. It was just like, so you have to do this because you'll be in danger if you. And she's like, what? I'll be in danger? Why me? He's like, oh well, you just.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Just trust me.
Why he's like anyone who votes against her, and she's like, but why would I be in trouble?
Exactly.
Like,
what about the
why just
assholes
me?
here?
And he's like, I don't know. I think it's just you.
Yeah, I know. Right? It's just all you.
Steve was asked. They were all asked. What is the moment that you really wish you'd been in there for? And Steve said, the season.
Season. Yeah.
The summer of Steve.
when they ask like who's somebody you don't like or care for, I think Swaggy's is like Kaitlyn because she's part of Faysal, and like we would have been awesome if it wasn't for her.
Yeah, he's like, I wish I wasn't aligned with Kaitlyn.
Yeah. And I'm like, I think they would have been still pretty bad because they're all really bad players. But and again, like just reviewing the games of listening to JC's and then Tyler's and then Kaycee's today, it really struck me as how long this insanity went on for like we got Rockstar at like week 9 talking about like, well, there are no sides left. I don't see any sides.
I know.
Okay, this is what I want to say. Like, if you know that you're on a side, and at that point she knows she's with Fessy, she's with, I think maybe Bayleigh was gone by that point, but she's with Haleigh, she's with Fessy, she's sort of with Scottie. They're all kind of working together on that side. Do you think that the other people on the other side are just like, they're amoeba just going all over the place? Like
that's what it seemed like.
It seemed like she thought that.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is like that it's shocking to me how they couldn't put 2 and 2 together. They just kept thinking that like the other side wasn't really a side. It was just individual people who all hung out together and who talked all day long and who always seemed to vote together. It's like, how do you not understand that means they're together? That means they're working together, they're doing something together. Maybe they don't have like a set name or something. They did, but maybe they don't have a set name. But they just weren't. It wasn't going through their head. They're like, Tyler's a lone wolf. It's like, what are you talking about? How is Tyler a lone wolf?
He doesn't use the veto. What Haleigh wants him to use the veto the week that Haley's HOH, and she has that meeting which they never showed on TV. I agree with you, Taran.
Tyler.
Worst editing decision of the season to not show that bathroom where Rockstar was biased her. It was so
bad.
Great. It was awesome. Okay. They didn't show a lick of it. Okay. They didn't show a lick of it. So there's that. That happens. She knows Tyler's against her. He didn't use the veto. Her ally went home. Okay. And then they go to the next week and she's still Fessy's HOH. Is Tyler on her lips at all? No. And she's not like he was like, guys, I still trust Tyler. Like,
yeah.
I feel like Tyler and JC, they were a magical combination, and I really feel like we got something truly unique this season. I don't think we're ever. It took 20 seasons to make something like this happen. I don't think we're ever going to see something like this again, where for essentially at least 2/3 to 3/4 of this season, we just had one side dominating the competitions and the other side flipping the game around constantly and keeping the other side in the dark. It was so beautiful, and you really have to give credit to JC more even than it's really the combination, because without Tyler being there with the eyes saying no, I just voted that way, and then 5 other votes happened to go that way. I don't know what happened. And Bayleigh's like, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And she totally bought it. Like, why ask the next question? How did you know that there were 5 other votes? Who or maybe a better question, who were those people, Tyler? Who were they? You had to know at least a couple of them. Oh no! Don't even bother to ask that.
I thought I was going to be the only one. I don't even know what happened.
Tyler played dumb,
yes.
And JC played aggressive, where it was like, don't be stupid. You think I would do that? You think I'd go against you? I wouldn't do that. Don't be stupid. Like, are you an idiot?
Yes.
Like that was like their yin and yang that worked really well together.
Yeah, Tyler's like, I don't even know. I thought I was going to be the only vote. And Bayleigh's like, that makes sense. Let me tell you more about my power. This is how it works.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God.
We are here now in the final 3 with JC and Tyler and Kaycee. Which again, it's like Kaycee and Tyler made a final 2 first, then JC and Tyler made a final 2, and I think we're pretty close to a situation where the boot order was the reverse order of who made a deal with Tyler at what time. So that's pretty interesting.
I think I could have seen, like, okay, if we were back at our draft or whatever, I absolutely could have seen Tyler and Kaycee in the final 2 or final 3 for sure. JC, never in a million years would I have thought he'd made the final 3. Never. And if anything, I would have thought he would have been dragged along to the final 3 maybe because like they thought he couldn't win. And so he just miraculously ends up in the end. But not like this. I did not think JC was a contender, and I did not think that JC was going to play the way he did. And I'm so thoroughly impressed with JC's gameplay this season. So, good for him.
Yeah,
I mean, the other states, like we already knew, but
if I'm grading on a curve and expectations, I mean, JC.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like he was one of the last three people picked in the draft. He was the last person on my team. I know that. Well, and I picked Swaggy before him. I was I had Swaggy and Bayleigh and oh God, I can't remember who else. It was whoever was eliminated, and then I had JC for the longest time. I still do actually, technically. But he's just played a really, really fun game, and it's really too bad that he's not going to get a chance. Because I feel like that there's a chance he could win, but on the other hand, I'm totally fine with him not winning because it's more fun this way. Go ahead. We can talk about the fact that Tyler and Kaycee still have not told JC about the big deal, the big secret.
Yes. Go ahead, Melissa.
Well, I was just gonna say one last thing about the JC pick order in the draft. For our So You Think You Can podcast draft, he was the only player not picked, and so Amon, because he came late to our draft, we were like, Amon, you can have the remainder, whoever is left. And so Amon got JC. And so literally it's really funny that he is one of the few people still left in the draft. And Amon got him just handed to him because no one else wanted him. So, he's really exceeded expectations.
I've been in one of those drafts when somebody was handed to somebody.
Yeah.
Cameron's traded out, so I guess I give Paul. How did that happen?
Look at that.
I made a bonehead decision taking the worst player, the guy who's eliminated, but somehow I'm going to trade in for the best one.
I'm pretty sure I had the first pick in that one too. I'm not good with first picks. I don't think I've ever won a draft with the first pick. So in the draft.
Melissa's about to win. If Kaycee wins, then Melissa wins. If Tyler wins, then Rob wins the draft.
Rob will win his first LFC draft.
I know, right?
Wow.
See, this is really what I'm doing is that I'm taking a break from wins so that I can get each of you your own separate win, and then I'll start taking over again.
Wow,
that's what
so
I said
gracious.
at the slot. That's what I said at the casino when I won the first 4 times, and then I was like, I'll take a little break from the winning.
Yes. Well, we are here in the final 3. Tyler won part 1 of the final 3 HOH, and we're talking about JC like his game is over, but it wasn't over until he lost part 2 of the final 3 HOH to Kaycee by less than 40 seconds, which could be the difference between $500,000 and whatever it is that third place gets. What, 10?
10,000?
Yeah. Which is wow. Man.
Basically 0.
Yeah.
I am stunned. First of all, I love production trolling JC. Let's be real, you guys. Okay, JC has been absolute ass to production. Comparatively to the other house guests, certainly, but overall, he's been a jackass basically. And they bring out a climbing competition for part 2, which they have had before, but they've also not had before. And I thought they wouldn't do it this time because of his limited reach, but no, here it was. And somehow he almost beat Kaycee. It was that close. I'm a little bummed about it. I don't know how you guys feel. Because I sort of like the nervous Nelliness of it all, where these three are nervous Nellies, and they would be like chattering chipmunks trying to figure out am I going to make it to the final 2 or am I not? Because if JC had won part 2, we wouldn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah, it'd still be up in the air between who even makes it, let alone who wins. Exactly. But now it's set, and Tyler and Kaycee have an unbreakable final 2. I mean, and I don't even think taking JC to the final 2 is something that would be beneficial to either one of the games. Maybe Tyler, but I feel like he can, whatever he can do against JC, I feel like he can also do against Kaycee if he plays it right. So I don't really. There's not even a good reason to take JC at this point. So I feel like he's third place, and they have not told him. Now I want to tell you this. I know you're blocked from Evil Dick on Twitter, but Evil Dick put out a proposal. I think it was Sunday or Monday that he said Tyler and Jace and Kaycee should take JC's. Basically, Tyler specifically here is what he's getting at. Should take JC aside, tell him the truth. Say, look, I made a final 2 coast to coast. It was the first one I made.
Yeah, I've been playing you. I haven't been honest with you. I love you to death. You're my girl. Because that's what, if you notice, Tyler like calls me. Like it took me a second to get. I noticed it on the live feeds as well. Tyler calls him his girl. Sometimes like it's just it's like when I call somebody like she and it's like Taran. I'm like, well, look what she's doing right now. You know what I mean? It's a little gender bending that us gays do sometimes. And Tyler has obviously picked up on that from JC's standpoint. I wish that he would have had a chance to make it to the end. JC, I'm talking about, but now that he doesn't, I feel like Tyler should tell him the truth and let him heal. From if he would have told him Sunday or even Monday. I feel like he would have been able to heal. JC, I'm talking about, by telling him, this is what's going to happen. We're going to evict you. And there's really nothing you can do about it. I know that there's part of Tyler that doesn't want to do that because he's afraid that telling JC will then go to Kaycee and try to talk some quote unquote sense into her. But first of all, Kaycee's unbreakable. And second of all, it doesn't even behoove Kaycee to take JC to the final two. And Tyler should know that by this point. Taran, I can see you have something to say. Go ahead.
Yeah. I actually, obviously it's hard to tell. It's hard to know exactly how somebody would react. I'm actually probably leaning in the other direction in the sense that I don't think JC would heal. Knowing who JC is, if Tyler tells him, no, I'm not going to take you, he's not going to be like, oh well, that hurts. Let me mourn this loss. Let me come to terms with it. He's gonna be like, oh hell no, I've got 25 hours left. How do I convince him to take me? And he'll be trying, and the most recent failure is still gonna be fresh on his mind by the time he gets off that couch. And if anything, he's gonna be more frustrated because he just spent the last 25 hours trying to convince Tyler to not do this to him. So I do think that could backfire on him. That said, JC did tell Tyler, look, if you change your mind, just let me know ahead of time. I don't want to be blindsided on that couch. Now, again, I don't think this is JC being like, look, just put me out the humane way. I'll go without a fight. I think this is JC like, you son of a bitch. If you are cutting me, you'd better tell me ahead of time so I get some time to plan and try to change your mind. I don't think JC intends on going out quietly ever. But it is worth noting that he did say this. So he does have a lot more room to be like, dude, I told you to tell me. And that's more of an excuse to be bitter against Tyler. It was very bad that JC said this because it really leaves Tyler with very little wiggle room. I still personally feel like the best move for Tyler here is to not tell JC anything and then just throw the competition. And then when...
that's the thing.
Yeah, and then when JC says, who would you have taken? Tyler's like, well, I had a final two with Kaycee, but, I mean, you know what we're talking about. Essentially what Dan did with Danielle, where Danielle, gives Dan her vote, even though, there was all this shady business about, who would he have actually taken. And if she had had more time to think about it, maybe she would have been hurt enough to not give him her vote. But there's so much confusion and all of that, and JC's going to be mad at Kaycee that I do feel like he can probably still get that vote. And if anything, he might be like, oh damn, Tyler outmaneuvered me. He pretended to Kaycee that he had a final two with her, and got her to take him to the end. Which is what JC has been doing. JC has been trying to get Kaycee to take him to the final two. There was something else I wanted to say. I do agree with you that he's probably going to be bitter. JC, I'm talking about specifically. But I don't know if it's enough to keep him from voting for Tyler. I do feel like he'll give Tyler his vote no matter what because he just loves Tyler that much. And the other thing I wanted to say was, to me, and maybe you guys would disagree with me, I think it's impossible to throw part three. That's another good point. Paul was trying to win it last year and got freaking 2 right. Okay. And if he had been trying, let's say he's actively trying to throw it, then he would have by default gotten 5 right. You can't do that. I think Josh won getting 4 out of 7 or something. And then before that it was 3-2 and Steve beat Vanessa. Usually people are so bad at this competition. Whatever you're thinking the answer is, just think the opposite or something. I don't think here's the thing. If I don't get, this is the one thing I want out of finale night. I want Tyler to have to make the decision. I want him to win part 3 because I know he's going to the end no matter what. I want him to get some blood on his hands. I don't want to be able to hide anymore.
win part 3, whether you want to or not. And then, here's the thing. The only thing I would respect from Tyler is if he like ends up in a tie with Kaycee somehow and then writes like, the June song,
Exactly.
1 million answer. Then I'd be like, okay, bow down. I love you to death. But, if he doesn't do something like that, I'm going to be bitter. So there you go, guys.
All right. So
we all want that too. Everybody in the chat's like, we want that. We want Tyler to have to, I want him to take JC's heart and just crush it.
Oh my God.
Oh
like
my.
Evil Queen and on a time, just crush it.
Yes. Patty saying, what if Kaycee tells JC in her goodbye message that they had a final 2 since day 1? I think that JC will just be like, damn it, he got me. He was getting taken no matter what. I don't think he'll immediately assume that he wouldn't have taken JC. He'll just think he got Kaycee to take him.
Right. I think that if she says, hey, we've had a final 2, and I think honestly, if anybody else in the jury house tells JC, Tyler and I had a final 2 too, I think JC's going to be like, yeah, but our final 2 is real. I had a final 2 with like Fessy or whatever. I had final 2 with other people and it meant nothing to me. Tyler and I were the real deal. So I think that if Tyler doesn't cut JC's not going to fall for anyone just saying like, oh, but I had a final 2 too. Like he'll be like, yeah, but mine was the real final 2. So
yes.
Yeah.
And it is being pointed out there are no goodbye messages for the third place finisher. But of course Kaycee could say it in her eviction speach.
Yeah,
she
be
could
like, Tyler and I had a final 2.
They,
I'm so sorry,
yeah,
JC.
They could they could sit him down beforehand at some point. So there are plenty of opportunities to reveal this information. But let's talk about. Are we ready for the stock watch?
Sure.
All right. It should be a pretty quick one here because obviously there's only 3 people to talk about. And one of them especially should be relatively quick. So let's start off with Kaycee, who last week did end up with a final price of $8. We did incorporate Melissa's pricing into the last week's price. So Kaycee ended up with $8 total. I gave her a 7. Brent did as well. Melissa and the audience both gave her 8. This week she made it through the final 4. She is in the final 3. She's in part 3 of the final 3 HOH. It looks like she is definitely going to be sitting there in the final 2 with a pretty good shot to win. So, I mean, that's looking pretty good for Kaycee. I'm feeling an 8. I'm feeling an 8 for Kaycee. I feel good about Kaycee's chances. I don't feel amazing about Kaycee's chances. I think that if there's still a very, very small remote possibility that Tyler could end up choosing JC over her. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think there's no chance that she chooses JC over Tyler. I think Tyler's the absolute lock. She's the almost definitely lock. And also, I do kind of feel like I am like 55-45 favoring Tyler in a jury vote against Kaycee. So with that said,
is that based on anything that Dr. Will said in his interview to Global, where he was talking about, because they specifically asked him about the voting block thing, but the Faute voting block, where Scottie, famously came back into the house and said, hey, we're in, and basically Dr. Will poo-pooed it and said that that's not real, which I'm not really totally buying. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Dr. Will, first of all, he's giving them fluff answers, which I find hilarious. But he talked a lot about last season's jury. Like anytime there's a question about like, is the jury bitter? He's been like, I've dealt with bitter juries last season. So I kind of was reading between the lines that there was like not as much to talk about with this particular jury. It's very difficult. This is Dr. Will we're talking about, one of the best liars in the history of the game. So who knows what the truth is? And like I said, one of my favorite Dr. Will interviews so far, just this overly eloquent, verbose statement for every question. I thought it was fantastic. You should check out the Dr. Will interviews. But yeah, I do feel like, last season there was a lot of hype about like, oh guys, this jury, and I've not really seen much of that this season so far. So that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it is something to look out for. And then also, even just going through the jury votes, I do feel like I think that Kaycee has more locked votes, or at least in my opinion, locked votes than Tyler does. But I think that Tyler has the edge on more votes, if that makes sense. So like, I think that Kaycee has votes that are like 95 to 5%, like 2 of them, and then one that's like 70-30. And then I think that Tyler has the rest of them that are like 60-40 kind of thing, you know? We'll talk about that as well. So, so I gave Kaycee an 8 this week. Melissa,
yes,
where are you on Kaycee?
I'm trying to load the document. What did I give her last week?
You gave her an 8.
You gave her an 8. I gave her a 7. Taran gave her a 7. You gave her an 8, and the audience gave her an 8. So that's where we were last week.
It's so hard for me to decide what I want to give her because I feel like I see her winning more than I do Tyler. But at the same time, it's like that's not really due to her own
right.
game. Like it's like that's not because she is taking like a no-win person to the end. It's like they're just gonna vote for her because they like her better and they think she didn't do them wrong. But it's not like she's like really playing the game and she's really, she's winning things, but most of the time when she wins stuff, she doesn't use the veto and then nothing changes and she just goes along with her team's plan. And whereas in certain situations, it would have been better for her to use the veto and then, send out some stronger players. So she would be left with, people who can't really compete and whatever, but she's just been a loyal soldier the whole time. So like, yeah, I could absolutely see her winning this game, but I just don't feel right to give her a 9 because Tyler's playing way better than her. So I'm going to have to, I'm just going to stick with my 8.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with an 8 as well. And I feel like you have to look at her week in total, not just what's happening right now. And let's be honest, she had 2 chances to really lock this down. She could have evicted Tyler at Final 5 and forced Angela to put Tyler up on the block. Evicted Tyler. Angela would not have been able to play for HOH the following week. So she would have been in the lottery of people who are eligible for eviction. If she doesn't win the veto, she's out. And then you go to the final 2 with Sam and JC. I feel like that's probably the way to go. Or she could have evicted, let Sam go if you're really worried about her, sweet talking the jury, and evict Tyler at 4 when you have a chance. You have a chance to take Angela to the end, and if you take Angela to the end, you won the game because JC's not going to take Angela to the end because he hates her that much. He doesn't want to let her get anywhere near the final 2, and then you are going to take Angela to the end and you're going to win. So she could have won the game right there. So I feel like you have to give her a score based on what she's done this week, and what she's done this week isn't great. She's basically, in my view, lost 1, maybe 2 chances to win the game and barely beat a little person by 40 seconds in a climbing competition. Okay, so 8 is what the score is, and I feel like that I agree with you that she may win the game, but much of it is not by her own doing.
Yeah, and something that we talked about on the recap of her game this morning was really just like how bad a spot she was there at Final 4, where she was planning on evicting JC, and she really gets saved by the fact that JC wins the HOH because if JC doesn't win that fluke, the one competition he wins the entire season, and then she has to have the Final 4 veto be a competition that they almost never do for the Final 4 veto. It's not days. It's some kind of coordination ball competition, which like whoa, those 2 crazy instances lead her to a position where she is a lot more likely to get to the final 2. If she had her way, or if the veto competition had been what it almost always is, then she would have either been evicted at Final 4, or she would be going to the Final 3 with Tyler and Angela, at which point she would probably be shut out right now. She would be looking at Tyler and Angela heading to part 3, given that she only beat JC by 40 seconds. And you got it. I mean, Angela's obviously picking Tyler, and Tyler at best is like a 50-50 between Kaycee and Angela. So she really, really lucked out there at Final 4. So I almost feel like I didn't recognize that last week, and maybe I should have given her a lower rating last week, but she's through it now. But it does, I think, kind of impact, how we're looking at, like, this could have been so much better for her if she had made different choices, if she was willing to make different choices. But again, that's just not who she is. So 8s across the board here from us, and the audience agrees. Go ahead.
Yay.
The
Well,
audience gave her an 8.
I was just gonna say that, like what you just said, that's the thing is, like, you were saying that she wouldn't do that, and I think that that's a benefit to her, but also it's a hindrance to her, where it's like she won't make those big moves, which is bad for her because she's not going to end up in she's not going to be ending up in the end versus someone who she can definitely beat, but she probably is going to beat Tyler because she didn't make those types of moves and because she played this sort of loyal soldier game where she wasn't pissing anyone off or hurting anyone. So it's like it goes both ways. It's like, yeah, it helps you, but it also hurts you, but it also helps you. So yeah.
Yes. It's really it's relying on it's instead of playing an adaptive game where you try to adapt to your circumstances, it's going in and saying, hopefully the circumstances adapt to me or like work out for me. And so far, the circumstances are working out. Things are breaking her way, and she and I think if the jury breaks her way, then it worked. The jury breaks her way, and then she's gonna end up with a winning game here. At $8 on her last week. This is the highest average rating she has ever received heading into the final two. Straight 8s across the board. Let's talk about Tyler. He got straight 9s last time. Be very interested to see if that's going to remain the same. I know for me, I am going to once again give Tyler a 9. I do feel like he has the better shot. Again, I feel like if not for the strategic mistake of bringing Kaycee this far and handling the end game in terms of placement of pieces on the board in the way that he did, I would be giving him a 10 right now because I feel like he'd be in a spot. Like, again, if it's JC and Sam, I feel like probably a better spot for him. I'd probably be giving him a 10, but because Kaycee's there and JC's there in a spot where JC could maybe beat him, it's going to knock down to a 9. I think he's played an incredible game up until this point, but he is definitely not a lock to win, but he is, I do think, in a better spot than Kaycee. Certainly played better game than Kaycee, so I have him here at a 9. Melissa, you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that he's not, like you said, he's not guaranteed to win. But at the same time, I feel better about giving him a 9 than giving Kaycee a 9 because I feel like his game was more. He made his own decisions. He made his own moves. He did everything to benefit his own game, and I feel like Kaycee was kind of letting things happen. His was more of an active game, and hers is more of a passive game. And so I don't feel comfortable being like, Kaycee did an amazing job. She played so great. She definitely deserves a 9. I don't feel that way about her game. I feel like. She did a great job if Big Brother was a team game. It's not. And so I'm not as impressed with her game. Yeah, she did a great job. She's ended up where she is. People seem to really like her. That's great. But I'm not as impressed with it as I am with Tyler, where it was like every week he was making moves. He was building bonds. He was, working people and positioning himself in places where, honestly, like, I feel like I said, this is very similar to how I felt about Paris's game. In BB Can 6, when it was like starting from day 1, I was like, she can't keep this up. And it was like week 6, it's like, she can't keep this up. It's like, this is going to fall on her soon. And then literally she's in the finale and I'm like, wow, she kept it up the whole time. And I feel like the same with Tyler, where it's like week 1, I was even saying, like, he needs to face adversity. Like, there's no way that he's just going to get through this whole game scot-free. And then he does. And
Scotch-free, Melissa.
Oh, sorry, scotch-free. Scotch egg-free. But seriously, I'm very impressed with the way he's been able to keep it up this entire game. So, I have to give him a 9. Stop that. You guys are dirty.
Hey, that was Brent.
I think it was just mainly me. Yeah, I was like, whether
you laughed at it.
I laughed at it. Well, yeah. Once Brent makes the noise, I'm gonna laugh at it.
Encouraging him.
Brent, what do you think about Tyler?
I agree with everything I said. I think that he's worthy of a 9, and he's certainly done the most work, and I think that he can win. And even though I think maybe the jury's leaning towards more Kaycee, but again, we haven't heard much about a bitter jury, so that leads me to believe that maybe he can win, and he will win. I can't remember who it was in the chat who was saying, like, I'll be honest, he can't win, so he sucks. I'm like, and he was giving him a 1. Obviously, you're a troll, number 1. And number 2, like, you don't know that he can't win. None of us knows that right now. I mean, here's the thing. If Haleigh is willing to buy his BS or his truth, whatever you want to call it, then he's got a chance, because I feel like that a couple of votes are going to come along with her. And if he can, he's going to get Angela's vote, and he can probably get JC's vote if he throws part 3. So that's 5 votes right there. So he certainly can win. He may not, but he can. And I think it's important to note that.
Yes. All right.
Did I give him I think I gave him a score. It's a 9.
Yes. So straight 9s from us. Will the audience agree? They do. They do. They agree. Straight 9s across the board. We're all coming together here at the end, guys. We're all agreeing. 9s across the board for Tyler on the last week of the Stock Watch. Then finally, we've got JC. Now, JC is an interesting one. But I'll kick it off with Brent to start this one. How do you feel about JC this week?
Yeah, I feel like I'm trying to evaluate his game overall. And again, I go back to what Rob said. To me, JC doesn't know anything more than Kaycee knows at this point, because he thinks he made a final 2 with Tyler early on in the game, and he's holding on to it, and he thinks Tyler's going to take him to the end. The only difference is that Tyler didn't choose him. He chose somebody else. So I feel like that JC's done almost all he can do. He was never going to win part 1. He almost won part 2 against, I thought he was done for. And then he goes and loses by 40 seconds, which even drove in the knife a little bit more to me, because I'm like, oh, we were so close to a really, really nervous-y final 3. And instead they're just chilling in the hood, So I don't care for that. No, I gave him a 5 because he has boxed himself into a position where he cannot win by virtue of the fact that he cannot get to the end. He is positionally boxed out of the game at this point. He doesn't realize it, but the game is the game that's being played, and he is not aware of a part of the game. But I think I was very taken with the fact that 2-3 days ago he was lamenting about how these people, they didn't know what the hell was going on, and so we knew everything that was happening this season, and there were no secrets from us. And I'm like, honey, you don't know anything about Tangela. You don't know anything about Level 6. You don't know about the Coast to Coast Alliance. There's so much that you don't know, and he still thinks that he's involved in everything. So I think that's very telling. He's put himself in as good a position as he could have, but now he's run out of runway. We thought he'd run out of runway last week, and then he pulled out an HOH win. He needed to do it again here. He didn't. It's a 5 for me.
Yeah, I'm even lower on JC this week. Okay. Which is interesting, right? Because if I had made this rating prior to part 2, then I would have given JC a 6, I think. If I had made this rating prior to part 1, I might have given him a 7, because I feel like his chances were pretty good. He just needed to win one of those. He did not win one of those, so I feel like his chances have tanked, because I think his chances of getting to the final 2 are very slim, and I feel like his chances of then winning in the final 2, I do think he's got a good chance to win, but he's not a guarantee. So even if he gets there, he's not a guarantee. So I'm toying with a 2 or a 3 here. I'm more in favor of a 3, just because I do think there is a chance that Tyler looks at them as he's making the decision and goes, oh my God, what am I doing? JC, you need to come with me. I think there's this very, very, very small chance that happens. So I don't want to go all the way down to a 2, which is, I don't think JC deserves, but I do have him at a 3. And, JC had an incredibly wide range of ratings this week. Obviously from 1 to 10, but just they were all over the place from the audience, because it's hard to rate. It's hard to rate him, especially on such a fast week, where you want to give him credit for being so close, but then also for right now he's kind of not. It's so close yet so far. So it's kind of a tricky week. But Melissa, what did you decide?
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 5 because, I feel like he's in a better position than he was last week. He was able to get Angela out, which was it definitely beneficial to his game. But yeah, you're right. He's boxed out of the game at this point. It seems like there's really no way for him to get to the end. If he does, there's a chance that he wins, but I don't think he's getting to the end. And, I want to give him credit for the HOH win, getting Angela out. And if I'm being honest, Kaycee and him are in very similar positions. It's just that Tyler chose Kaycee and not JC. But if Tyler had chosen JC and Tyler was actually planning on taking JC to the end, we'd be like, Kaycee is she's a 3, you know, she's not getting to the end. What is she thinking? But instead it's the reverse, and that's just like that's just the way it is. But at the same time, I want to explain that JC should have chosen Fessy all along. He should have known that Tyler wasn't loyal to him. He couldn't seem to see through Tyler's.
He was digmatized.
Yes, yeah, yep. And instead he gets rid of Fessy, who was like absolutely loyal to him. And I think that if we see, he was positioning himself with these super strong players that were all clearly aligned with each other when he should have been, like he was in the beginning, keeping the sides even. And keeping Tyler and Fessy along because he felt like those were his two biggest allies. And then it turns to Brett being an ally of his. He should have kept these guys along with him, gotten out Angela, gotten out Kaycee like earlier rather than being like, let's wait to make the move. But they kept saying like, we're going to do this, and they never did it. And
well, they never had the opportunity. They never won any competitions.
Yeah, but even before that, I'm saying like they shouldn't have waited so long.
Well,
JC kept like narrowing down the Faute side,
right.
And I think he should have. I think he should have tried to make moves sooner.
Well, like we did go over JC's game, and I do not see a point that JC could have made the move that you're talking about. I agree that, you know, obviously his biggest flaw is that he trusted Tyler too much, and there were decisions that he might have been able to make, but I think one of them is like the move to they almost flipped to keep Scottie the second time around. That's a move that maybe he could have made, but prior to that, I mean, he had to make the moves that he was making. Scottie JC was Scottie's number one target, so he had to make that move. After Scottie leaves, then it's 10 straight Tangela Kaycee wins.
Well, and I might be misremembering things, but why didn't they try and make the move when Fessy was HOH?
That's when he took Scottie out. Scottie was not only targeting JC, but he had Haleigh targeting JC. They wanted JC up on the block that week, and they were absolutely trying to target him the next week. Scottie had spent the entire week previously turning Haleigh and Rockstar and Fessy against JC, which is why he decided, like, man, I'm losing my grip on these people. This is trouble. And Scottie was really coming at him hard.
It was a situation where like he knew there was a fire over here, but then another fire sprung up over here, and now he's got to like put out this fire, and by the time he gets back to the original fire, it's out of control and he can't control it anymore. I feel like that's kind of happening. I'm
surprised that JC kind of let certain people go out before others, like for example, like Rockstar.
The hacker competition did him no favors. Because if that hacker competition doesn't come up, then JC gets what he wants. Angela and Kaycee are broken up. That the sides are still even. He can still maneuver within the middle. And then at that point, if he gets Scottie out of the game, then it's not as big of a deal. Then the sides aren't as unequal as maybe they would have been. But when Rockstar goes home there instead of Angela, that really screwed him, because then and he had to get Scottie out of the game. But now by this point, you've made the one side entirely too powerful, and there's nowhere else to go. And after that, they won all the HOHs.
Yeah, and I do think that, like, I mean, obviously, I think the hacker competition combined with the like ridiculous competition run that Tangela plus Kaycee go on, that was bad luck. I do think there were some minor decisions along the way that could have improved his odds, like keeping Fessy over Haleigh. I feel like that would have helped. I think Fessy was a little bit more capable of winning competitions than Haleigh was. That would have been of some benefit. And then keeping Scottie over Haleigh would have been a little bit beneficial, I think, because again, Scottie was a little bit more capable of winning competitions. But again, even there, like it's kind of I think Fessy was the more obvious call. Yeah. Exactly, the second time around when Scottie was back in the house, because it was like JC was like, I think I can trust Scottie, but like he came to me the night before the eviction. He still won't tell me who his target is. I really want to do this, but Tyler's really against it, and I don't know if I can trust Scottie. Maybe if he had come to me earlier, I would be able to make this move, but I just can't take the risk.
We were so close.
Yes.
So close to something right there. Oh,
yeah.
But and Scottie's fault too. He wouldn't give him a damn target.
But I do think there was something interesting, when we're talking about, like, again, the difference between JC and Kaycee here. I do think there was a time during the game where Tyler did plan on taking JC to the final two. I genuinely think that. First of all, I mean, when we went over Kaycee's game, Tyler was MIA from Kaycee for a large gap of time in the game. And then it wasn't really until JC started complaining about Angela that Tyler was like, all right, Kaycee, how you doing? And so, like, I really do feel like, you know, he was in the spot that he thought he was a little bit with Tyler for a while. But then I do think there is a turning point. We saw Tyler's diary room where he goes, you know, I might want to take Kaycee there, even over JC, as though like this is a recent decision he's made. Like for a while it's been JC, but maybe I want to take Kaycee instead. So you know, it's interesting. It's important to point out not only in terms of like again how close JC came, but also you know if that's the case, maybe another one of JC's mistakes is being too jealous, which obviously is a mistake in one regard, but also in this regard.
That was a huge mistake because, like, Tyler was able to explain away getting rid of Brett by saying, "Oh, well, I was jealous of him." That's really what it was. And JC's got such an ego; he bought it hook, line, and sinker. Melissa, like, I mean, there was never any part of JC that was like, "That doesn't sound quite right." But his whole being dickmatized caused him to say, "Oh, I can see how you would be jealous of Brett when Brett got with me. So yeah, I totally get why you put me on the block and blindsided me and then blindsided my like. I mean, it was just a crazy talk, and yet he bought it because he's thinking with the wrong head.
Yeah, I mean, there was literally, you know, a point where JC was saying, like, your relationship with Angela is no good. I don't like this. And then Tyler went, okay. Then he went to Kaycee and said, how do you feel about my relationship with Angela? She said, you guys have feelings for each other, but I don't care. I'm still going to take her to the final three. And he was like, all right, so Kaycee's the better choice. She's the one that's going to fall into my plans more. And so, you know, that's JC a little too honest, a little too jealous, and just overall trusting Tyler too much. The audience is in between us on this one. The audience gave JC a 4 this week.
Fancy 10
yes.
audience.
Which is going to lock his price in here at $4, I believe. Yes, so $4 for the final JC pricing. He's had some highs, he's had some lows, but he's going to end the season out with $4 here. So that's the final Stockwatch ratings for the season. We will do again a wrap up where we'll do a rating for everyone's game over the course of the season. How's that? We'll give them a number rating. We'll have some fun. We'll rank them. We'll talk about their games over the course of the season. Well, there's plenty of stat stuff that we can do for the wrap up.
I don't know about you guys. We can do like. Did you say we're gonna do a wrap up like next Tuesday, or you don't know when it's gonna be? Or okay,
well, probably
we'll
not
wrap
Tuesday.
up.
Probably like maybe the weekend or something because
we're gonna be
in New York for the Know-It-Alls.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know, Taran and I are gonna be in New York next week for Survivor Know-It-Alls, and should be fun. So if you're there, come on out and say hi. And if you have complaints, go see Taran. If you have praises and you want, if you have nudes, then come see me.
There you go. Yeah. How do you give somebody a nude in person? Do they just take their clothes off?
Yeah, just I guess something like that. Yeah, I guess.
I feel like you're playing with fire there.
You have print-offs, like business cards, and you hand them out.
All right, so let's go to the final buying and selling portion here. I believe that Melissa is going to go first. I believe she was supposed to go first last time, but she got to go last time. Yeah. So I believe she's going to be going first here. I think right now, just to spell it out for the listeners here, Melissa essentially has or I guess 3 choices. She has a split amount between Kaycee, Tyler, and JC. She has one share of JC, which is the lead in JC. Nobody else has any other JC. So if she wants to hold on to that and just be the winner if JC happens to win the game, she can, or she can sell it for $2. And then she has 5 Tyler shares and 3 Kaycee shares. Brent leads in Kaycee shares with 8, and I lead in Tyler shares with 6. Now, I believe if she wants to, she can sell the 5 Tyler plus the JC to make 27, and then she could buy 3? No, yeah, 3 Kaycee, so she can't catch up with Kaycee, it looks like. If
I
I'm
think
reading
I
that
have
correctly.
to sell my
Oh no, sorry,
Kaycee.
you have an additional 11. Sorry. So you'll get 27 plus 11. You'll have 38, which means you can buy 4, which is still not enough, I think.
Which
Very
is still
close.
not good enough.
Very close.
Yeah.
But I think you're just $2 off being able to catch up with Brent. But then he can still buy an additional 1 Kaycee share. So the other option there is that she can sell the 3 Kaycee to make $12 plus 11, which is 23, which means she can buy 2 Tyler and take the lead on Tyler. Of course, I'm gonna just take the lead back. So not a great spot here for Melissa. She's in a little bit of trouble. Maybe she does want to hold on to that JC stock.
Yeah. I think I want to hold on to my JC just in case. But I think my best bet at this point probably is to sell my Kaycees and buy, I guess, 2 Tylers. Is that what I can buy, or can I buy more than that?
So you can sell 3 Kaycee stocks for $4 each, which makes 12. You currently have 11, which means a total of $23. Tyler costs 9, so you can buy 2, and you'll have 5 left over. So I think you can avoid selling one of your Kaycee if you want to, if you want to keep 1 Kaycee for good luck, so you don't have wasted money.
Yeah, I think I might want to do that.
I think my math might be wrong on that one, but
no, I think you're right. Yeah, I think I'll just keep 1 Kaycee and 1 JC and do
Alexander
have
says correct. So
7 Tyler.
Yes. All right. So
this is just awful.
Just to put this into some context here, the stats are that Brent has lost a total of $33 over the course of the stock watch. Melissa has lost 35. I lost 4. So
yeah, whatever. No, this was because of Brett.
Yes, it was largely because of Brett.
Yeah.
I lost so much from Brett. I think that I lost 4 with Brett, and then I only lost 1 with Angela and 1 with Bayleigh. Right? That's all I lost. But that Brett one, that murdered me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
you bought heavily into Brett right before.
Yeah, I invested in him right before he got out. I
Right
had no
before
idea.
the .com bust, honey.
I sold him right before his stock started going down. I got out right at the
You
right
did,
time.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
You guys need to watch the video of Melissa with head in hands. Brent, are you next? How does this work? I guess it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to solidify my position on Kaycee because that's what I have the lead in right now. I have no other stock that I know of, so I can buy 1 Kaycee stock with the $10 that I have. She's selling at $6, I think. Yes.
She's selling at $8.
$8. So I can still buy 1, and so I'm up to 9. So I'm at 9 Kaycee stock, and now Taran has to make a call on who he wants to. What pony he wants to back.
Yes, I can. I have 6 shares of Tyler worth $5 a piece, and I have 7 shares of Kaycee worth $4 a piece. So basically, I can sell whichever one I want and go all in on the other person. Like I said, I came so close to being able to cover both of you, but that would be a boring final anyway. So I'm going to have to decide. I mean, if I go with Kaycee, then I'm essentially giving Melissa some hope that she'll have somebody. If I go with Tyler, then I'll be giving Brent some hope. So
Who do you think is really going to win in your heart
exactly,
of hearts? Well, you've said that you. I mean, and I'm not trying to dissuade you from going against Kaycee, but you've said that you think Tyler is 55-45. On the other hand, as Doom pointed out in the chat, you did say that Kayla was 55-45 to win. And she would not. So
that was surprising.
I go crazy that you could be wrong about that, Taran. So what are you gonna do?
So I mean, ultimately, it's gonna be Tyler. I'm going to I don't know the exact math here, but I'm gonna sell as many as I need to get 2 Tyler. So I think that's gonna be what I have 11. I can sell 2 Kaycee shares
It
to
gets
make
into
19, and then I'll buy 2 Tyler, which makes 8 Tyler total and 5 Kaycee total. And there we go. If Tyler wins the game, then I will win the stock watch. If Kaycee wins the game, Brent will win the stock watch. And then if JC wins the game,
well,
Melissa
I'll be
will win the
shocked as
stock watch.
hell,
Woo!
and Melissa will win the stock watch.
You know, I mean, if I really wanted to be a jerk, I could sell another Kaycee share and then buy
And
like
get 2
4
JC, yeah.
4 JCs. But I'm not gonna be a jerk. I'm gonna let her have. I'm gonna let her have it.
He's gonna let us put up the gas. I'm really hoping that comes back to bite him.
Now we're all
That'd be
rooting for a
great.
JC win.
I know, right?
All right, so there you go. The final stock watch segment of the season. I hope you guys enjoyed this format. It's been a lot more fun, I think, for us. I think this was a really a fun thing to do. We might have some further refinements heading into future seasons, but this was fun. I really liked it.
And I like following along on the charts and stuff,
Yeah,
and then
I will
seeing
say-
like the stats afterwards. It's really cool.
Yeah, I do feel like that me and Melissa should be penalized somehow for like losing a shitload of money, and Taran only lost like $4, and somehow I'm still covering Kaycee. I feel like there has to be some avenue that looks at that, because I don't feel like that's right. But for now, I'm living it. So
yeah, I mean, in terms of net worth, if the goal was to accumulate the most amount of money, then I would have won. But there's no official trophy for that. But just know in your hearts that I'm a true winner of the stock watch.
You are a true winner. You've made some savvy buys. That is correct.
I also like the fact that the audience can participate too, so we can see also like where their heads are at.
And they do. Yeah, I got people all the
it's
time
great.
messaging me.
Yeah, it's fun to see, because like rather than just having the 3 of us dictate what the price is, it's nice to have like the audience get to have like a vote in it too.
Yes.
Because a lot of the time they think we're really wrong.
Yes, so there you go. That was the stock watch for the season. Lots of fun, but there were a lot of other questions I asked this week on the forum that I tweeted out. There's a lot of predictions to make, very important predictions. So let's get to them here. So first of all, the final rating, although we will give an overall rating for the season as well, and the wrap up that we do. But the current rating of how would you rate the season so far? An 8.7. So it's gone back up a bit. I think it was down to an 8.4 last week, or an 8.6. But back up to an 8.7. People are feeling better about the season as a whole. And then I asked, who is your favorite player of the final 3? Tyler's percentage jumped up pretty dramatically here. 75% of people say Tyler is their favorite of the final 3, followed by about 15% for Kaycee and about 10% for JC, which is actually, I found that surprising. I felt like JC was a lot closer to Kaycee than I thought.
For your favorite player, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's just, I mean, if you're believing Vegas, the spoiler, JC is not anywhere on the board when it comes to favorite player. Like, I mean, I don't know how much stock, like, I'll just say this. I generally buy what Vegas is saying, and she's never proven to be wrong. There's been a couple of things that sounded a little bit iffy, or maybe perhaps she or he had some bad info. But I think generally they know what they're talking about. And to say like Tyler's got a big lead, I'm not surprised at that at all. But for JC not even to be like on the field, I feel like is kind of crazy. But I did have a couple people write to me, DM me, and say that hey, like even my friends, the casuals, don't like JC. They think he's overbearing and annoying, and he sort of like drinks his own Kool-Aid in the diary room. That he thinks he's funny as hell. So they aren't living for him either. So I guess we should be surprised
by the order that Vegas was saying, because I had heard, or I guess I had seen so much campaigning for Haleigh that I was surprised that Haleigh was so low. I thought that it was going to be Brett, Haleigh, and Tyler in the top 3, and I was surprised that Kaycee was up there, because I figured I don't really hear anything about Kaycee. I felt like she was kind of like a middling character that people didn't really feel one way or the other. They liked her, but they're not like, I need to vote for her. And I wasn't really seeing any campaigning for her. So I was surprised that was the order.
Very surprised. Yeah.
Nikki says in the chat, the only one of the final 7 to not be in the top of what Vegas was talking about, the top 6 or 7 of people, is JC. Like, you'd think of the final 7, JC is the one that is nowhere near the top leaderboard of America's favorite player. That surprises, like, people like Sam, Kaycee, even Angela.
I'm surprised Sam's up there.
Yeah, I mean, even Angela is ahead of JC.
By the way, I do not know who Vegas' spoiler is. I say he, she. I mix it up all the time. I don't know if it's a he or a she. I did actually have someone message me and say that they would give me $100 if I revealed who Vegas' spoiler actually is. And I basically played with them, and I was like, sorry, I can't tell you. Like, I know who.
I bet you could make more than $100 for
I know, right?
for revealing that information.
Ransom. I ransom that information, CBS. I don't know. I don't know who she is or he, whoever. We don't know. I say she because I assumed based on the manner in which she tweets that it's a she, but it could be a he. It could be a hetero man who's trying to sound like a feminine tilt. It could be a gay man. You just don't know.
That's all right. So the RHAP audience, those of you that voted in this form, you have chosen your own America's favorite player, and that is also Tyler. 39% of the vote goes to Tyler, with Brett close behind, but the gap has widened a little bit there. 32% for Brett. So only 7% difference, but Tyler is going to retain that lead, with Haleigh in 3rd place with about 11%. And Kaitlyn's going to remain in 4th with about 4%. And then, Angela, Kaycee, and the rest of them all with, 3 to 2 to 1%.
So we can pretty much say the likelihood is that Tyler wins something. He either wins America's favorite player or he wins the game.
Should
right?
be, yeah. According to Vegas, it's looking like Tyler still has a double-digit percentage lead. I think he wins them both. Yeah, it's very unlikely that changes. I can tell you from my experience with polling is that these things they swing a little bit, but they don't swing double-digit numbers. The numbers that you start to get early on are typically the numbers that you're going to continue to get until the end. So I would not expect that number to change, but I also told you to expect JC in the final 3 or the top 3 of the.
It'll be interesting if he wins the game, and then if they don't give him America's favorite player, then and we know that he was so far ahead, then it makes it seem
according to Vegas, right?
It makes it seem like they're not. The winner isn't eligible.
They've never acknowledged that Vegas is legit. So they could just totally hear no evil, see no evil, not even pay attention to that and give it to the who the 3rd place person if it's if they're not going to give it to Tyler Kaycee. I've always thought that they would not give it to whoever's in the final 2, but they specifically said this year that they are eligible. And I think that Tyler's been such an overwhelming presence, diary room wise. I kind of feel like they have to give it to him. And beyond that, he's the hardest working man in show business, who's still alive, basically. So some celebrities, the hardest working man in show business. I forget who he is, but Tyler that's Tyler right now, people.
I do think it's good for the show if Tyler loses the jury vote that he wins America's favorite player, right? Because I think anything we can do to encourage Tyler's style of gameplay over Kaycee's style of gameplay, effectiveness be damned, is a good thing for the show. So even if he does lose the jury vote, winning America's favorite, I think is a good thing for the show as a whole. Although winning the game and America's favorite is a bit too much.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that the person who wins the game should be eligible to win America's favorite. I always feel like America's favorite is more like a consolation prize for hey, totally. You didn't win, but we loved you.
I feel like it was America's favorite juror. It used to be that. That's how Keisha won it. It's America's favorite juror, which specifically boxes out the people who were evicted first, who nobody remembers. Let's be honest, they're never gonna win. And then it boxes out the final 2. I feel like America's favorite juror should be it. But the way they do the reason that they do it the way they do now is because we don't know who's on the jury. until finale night.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
so many things
the real thing.
So many problems from the stupid format.
I know.
I'm so done with it.
The format is so bad. They need more time to explain their game, to do jury questioning. I hate the way that the jurors, like, they just go up there with, like, a little cue card, and they're just, like, an index card, and they're just like, did you think you played, what move did you make? It's like, it wasn't even a personal question. It's like, I always like it when they're able to be like, hey, like, Survivor just does it so much better for the ending. And then they have a reunion show, and they don't have a reunion show for Big Brother. And the whole finale is just, like, a total nightmare. They just go out there, there's, like, stupid balloons, and then it's over.
This year they're doing Off the Block with Ross and Marissa. They're going to have... Well, I don't love them, but at least it's something. And we're going to get a little something from the jurors. I will say this, that if you're a finalist and you hear one of those questions, I would, like, answer the question and then use your remaining 1 minute to say whatever the hell you want to say. Like, this question's
stupid. I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah, it might not even be their question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, though. That's the thing, is supposedly that they just give them, like, pre-approved questions and they just, like, pass them out. And so it's like, that's why you get questions where it doesn't even seem relevant to that person's game.
Like, last year, I felt like Josh kicked ass in the questions all the way up until the end, where he, like, forgot what he was saying at one point, and then it was like 15 seconds of silence. Like, that was the part where I was like, oh, I don't know if he, they might not, but then, like, they ended up voting for him anyway. Now, of course, we know it probably didn't make a difference. Again, I will contend that Whistle Nuts vote was live, and there was something Paul could have done to have gotten it, but he didn't. And then Josh, gave them permission to vote for him. He was earnest and heartfelt, and that's all they needed to see. So I feel like you need to use the questions for whatever you need to have done. Like, you basically got like 4 minutes to talk to the jury over the course of your, I don't know if they give you an opening statement these days, but you definitely get like a closing statement. I think it's one or the other. And then you get like 3 questions. That's it. Yeah. I think it's 3 questions and then a closing statement. I think that's what it is. So you have got to, like, whip through the major points of what you need the jury to know. Speak to 1 or 2 people that you wronged, who you need to say something to. Like, Tyler should know he needs to say something to Bayleigh. Go ahead.
Sorry. What Tyler should do is be like, look, I was actually a super fan all along, and because I'm a super fan, I know that these aren't your questions. So feel free to address me with whatever you want. I feel like that could work. That could work. Also, Marietsula in the chat points out that even Tyler doesn't want to win the game and win America's favorite. He's expressed that on the feeds. He's like, if I win, I don't want America's favorite too. That's kind of
much.
That is true. Yeah, thank you. I forgot about that he said that. So they might shove it in his face. Like, here, you're taking the money.
Sorry. All right. So we also got some more questions here. I asked, who do you want the final 2 to be? The options, obviously, Kaycee and Tyler, JC and Kaycee, or Tyler and JC. And with 70% of the vote, people said Kaycee and Tyler. They want Kaycee and Tyler there. 21% want Tyler and JC. Honestly, that would have been my preference. And then about 10% said JC and Kaycee. So they don't want Tyler in the final 2.
We don't want that.
I asked, who do you want to win Big Brother 20? And with about the same, this is actually a pretty obviously about the same percentage as the who's your favorite player. About 76% want Tyler to win, about 16% want Kaycee to win, and 8% want JC to win. And then I asked, who do you think will win Big Brother 20? And 0 votes for a JC. Not a 1. Oh, and I forgot to mention, everybody got votes for the America's Favorite Player votes, except for Fessy.
Aww.
Oh.
People continue to not vote for Fessy in these things. You would have imagined that by now, after telling people that nobody votes for Fessy, there'd be at least one sympathy vote.
He did clap back to Bayleigh during that little segment in the jury house when she was like, you made a stupid move. And he's like, well, you made a stupid move too by telling Rachel about your power when you were HOH, which I thought was the tea and the truth. So he won a little bit back from me on that one.
Yes, even Steve has 3 votes. Winston had 2. So yeah, none for Fessy. But this is pretty crazy. Who do you think will win Big Brother 20? 50.6% of the vote say Tyler will win. 49.3% of the vote say Kaycee
so
is
close.
going to win. Very split. Very
That's
split.
very
there.
close. Jeez.
Wow.
So yes, very interesting, which is also interesting, especially when we get into the jury vote predictions, because this does not match up with how they predict the jury individually will vote, which is interesting to note for sure. I of course asked, who do you think Tyler will take to the final two? 98% said Kaycee. Who do you think Kaycee will take to the final two? 99% said Tyler. Who do you think Tyler should throw part 3 of the final 3 HOH? I was very curious about this. 58% said yes, 42% said no. So a little bit split on that.
Again, I want him to try to throw it and then accidentally win it. That's what I want so bad. I can just see him getting madder and madder. Oh, it would be great.
Yes. I asked, in a final 2 between Tyler and Kaycee, who would you vote for? Who would be what would be your vote in a final 2 of Tyler versus Kaycee? 85% said Tyler, 15% said Kaycee. I'm very curious to know what you guys would do. Who would you vote for in a final 2 between Tyler and Kaycee?
Tyler.
I'd vote for Tyler.
Yes.
I'd vote for Tyler.
I would as well. In a final 2 between JC and Kaycee, who would you vote for? This one was interesting. Much closer vote. 57% said Kaycee. 43% said JC. Bit split there. I gotta say, personally, I think I'd go JC.
Wow. I'd probably say Kaycee. I think I would vote for Kaycee because I would feel that JC thought that he knew everything that was going on, but he didn't. Like, I'd be like, the second I hear in the jury house that there was a level 6 this whole time, I'd be like, whoa, if I'm in Faute, I'm assuming, because I probably would be. I'm like, whoa, I had no idea that there was this whole other alliance in the house. This is crazy. JC wasn't a part of that alliance, and Kaycee was able to go with, like, she must have been doing so much stuff behind the scenes that I didn't know about, since I didn't even know about this alliance. Whereas I probably would have thought that I had seen JC's game. So I think that outwardly, like if I'm a person watching the show, I would vote for JC probably, because he really like played so hard and he did so much work. But if I'm inside and I don't know the full story and I don't know exactly what JC was doing, I would probably assume that Kaycee must have been doing stuff behind the scenes that I didn't see, since she was in that big major alliance and I didn't know about it.
All
yeah,
right.
I think that's probably true too. I on the outside, I would vote for JC. Within the game, I would probably vote for Kaycee.
We are asking from the outside, so.
Okay, then I'd vote for
outside, then I'd vote for JC.
Okay.
JC.
Okay.
Yeah, then I definitely vote for
and
JC.
it's not close.
I'm just thinking like from the perspective of like someone in the house, because like I don't think a lot of people know what JC was doing. Like I think that even Tyler, I don't think knows exactly what JC was doing and how hard JC was playing. I think that he maybe thinks
JC tells him.
Well, yeah, but I
the
think
problem is that
Tyler,
JC tells them the
Tyler,
wrong things.
Yeah.
If I'm Tyler, I think that JC thinks he's doing a lot, but he really is not. But really,
Yes.
he is. So from the outside, I'd absolutely vote for JC because he's doing so much more. He's trying so hard. He really worked this game, and Kaycee didn't do anything. So I would vote for JC. But if I'm the inside, I don't know if I see that.
All right. I also asked in a final 2 between JC and Tyler, who would you vote for? 90% said Tyler. So still all there for Tyler. So the only thing left to do here is to go over the jury votes. So let's do that. We start with Angela. This one's very easy. There's only 3 people, and JC's probably not even going to be there. So Angela's jury vote. How does the audience think Angela will vote in the event of a final 2? We're going to rank them in order of how they will vote. So if number 1 being the person they will vote for no matter who they sit next to, number 2 is context dependent on who they sit next to, number 3 is they will not vote for that person no matter who they sit next to. And yes, I apologize for still having the Excel sheet up.
Thank you, Lone Ranger.
Yes.
Yelling at Taran.
Taran.
Angela's jury vote, pretty straightforward one. The votes are very, very clear. Tyler number 1, Kaycee number 2, JC number 3. So they think that Tyler is going to get Angela's jury vote over Kaycee. I think we're all in agreement about that.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Then also, we did go through the final three. So JC's jury vote, which I think is the most relevant. Who do you think JC will vote for in the final two? 75% say Tyler, 25% say Kaycee. A lot of people tweeted at me, and this is a totally understandable response, saying, I don't know how to answer this one because I think it depends on what happens with the final three competition, which I think is very, very fair. So personally, yep. I think 75 is not a bad estimate here, because I think 50-50 that Tyler wins the final HOH, and then if he does win the final HOH, I think it's like maybe then 50-50 whether or not he's bitter or he votes for Tyler. So that would that would go about 75% chance that he gets that vote. And then Tyler's jury vote and Kaycee's jury vote, both 94 and 95% that they vote for each other if JC is sitting there in the end. So that said, that's so far, that's two. If it's a Tyler versus Kaycee matchup, that's 2 votes so far taken for Tyler, Angela, and JC. So let's move on to Sam. Let's talk about Sam. The audience, or let's not start with the audience this time. Let's start with Melissa. What do you think? How would you rank the final three here for Sam's jury vote?
Are you asking us?
Oh, that's so hard because Sam, I feel like, is pissed off at Tyler, and maybe she gets over it, maybe she doesn't. I don't really, it's so hard to read Sam or understand what's going on in her mind. Ultimately, I think it depends if Tyler says something directly to her in his speech. I think that if he's like, Sam, you know I love you so much, I had to do this, maybe she goes, you know what, okay. But I don't know if he's going to do that. I don't know if and I don't even know if she's going to be receptive to it. So I feel like I want to say that she'll vote for Tyler because he's going to call it out to call it out to her in his speech and apologize or whatever and just be like, you know I love you, but she might vote for Kaycee. She's kind of out there, and it's so hard to call. But I think it's either between Kaycee and Tyler, depending on how bitter she is. And I think that JC would probably be last.
It's so hard for me to tell, too. I don't know where JC falls. I'm sort of ignoring JC because I know he's not going to be in the final. I feel like that I agree with Taran. I feel like she's kind of falling back in with Bayleigh and Rockstar at this point. And they are likely, in my eyes, to vote for Kaycee. So I feel like that Sam, combined with her pissiness towards Tyler, I think she's probably more likely to vote for Kaycee. So I would have it Kaycee, Tyler, and then JC.
Okay, and just for the record, Melissa, you think JC is going to vote for Tyler over Kaycee?
JC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Brent, do you agree with that as well? So I'm keeping track.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was wait, we're going back.
Yeah, sorry. No, I thought I made that clear. JC, to me, I think your percentage is about right. Or the audience percentage was 75%. It's 50-50 whether or not he wins it, 50-50 whether or not JC's going to be better. Combining it all together, 75%. So, yeah, I think he's going to vote for Tyler 75% of the time. So, Tyler.
Okay, and Melissa, you said Kaycee for Sam?
Yeah.
I said Kaycee for Sam as well because I feel like she's back in with Bayleigh and Rockstar.
I agree with that logic. I think that she is in with Bayleigh and Rockstar. I think that's going to be a main component of her vote. I think Sam is a vote for Kaycee. However, the audience disagrees with us. The audience said Tyler first, then Kaycee, then JC. So first deviation here. The audience thinks Sam is a vote for Tyler. And this is what I'm talking about. They're 50-50 on whether Tyler wins or not, but a lot of these votes are going Tyler's way when they're actually coming up with an answer. Brett's jury vote. Let's talk about Brett. Brent, we'll start with you. Where do you think Brett's jury vote's going to go?
Oh, this is so tough because I feel like Tyler did him the baddest, or the worst. I feel like that he was the most wronged by Tyler. But on the other hand, I don't know if he really respects Kaycee. I mean, I know she has 1-5 vetoes, but he never, his relationship with her was, cordial and to strong at best, I feel like. I feel like he's going to respect the move that Tyler made and just realize that, you know what, I made the mistake. I shouldn't have told Tyler about it. It was my bad. And Tyler made the move he had to make because he's in a final two with Kaycee, and he obviously is in a showmance with Angela, which he's going to find out once Angela comes to jury. So I feel like he's going to vote for Tyler first, then Kaycee. Oh, well, actually, boy.
Forget about JC.
Yeah, I know, right? I feel like I mean, I feel like he would vote for JC if he was there. So I'll put JC first, but he's not going to be there. So It's going to be Tyler and then Kaycee. So JC, Tyler, Kaycee.
I agree. That was my order as well. I think JC, then Tyler, then Kaycee. So I'm just going to put a J/T there.
Yeah, I agree with you guys.
Okay. The audience does not agree with us. The audience says that Tyler will be his first choice, followed by Kaycee, and then JC last. They do not think that Brett is a vote.
Well, you know,
for
you
JC.
guys write me so many times. I have people in my DMs. I just want to read you this one DM from this person. Forget Angela and JC. Torrance has fallen the hardest for Tyler. And I'm like, you all have fallen the hardest for Tyler. Every one of these votes that comes in, you're like, right on his nuts.
Like Kelly's favorite player.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to start making slash fiction for the audience and Tyler. All right. So Haleigh's vote. Let's talk about Haleigh's vote. I'll go first here because this one is tough. She went out of the game saying she was rooting for Kaycee, but she was also in the game talking about how much she doesn't respect Kaycee. That if that she was saying a bitter vote would be a vote for Kaycee. And now in the jury house, she's talking about how well Tyler played in these segments. And we've talked about how her edited segments can often be misleading. So it's very difficult to know. But when it comes down to it for me, I think it's a toss-up. I think it's a coin flip. I think this is the 55-45 that I'm talking about when I think that Tyler has the edge over Kaycee. I think it edges onto Tyler for me, but I think it's so close. It's very, very tough to call, but my call is gonna be Tyler, and then Kaycee, and then JC. Yep.
Same.
Or actually, sorry, I think I forgot about JC again. JC, then Tyler, then I do think she would be a vote for JC if JC made it there. Although if JC took Tyler, then I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would be Tyler, Kaycee, JC. That's my vote. I don't think she votes for JC.
Yeah, I mean, it's a close call there, and it's not worth diving into too deeply because it's not relevant.
I feel like that's probably true. You know, I was thinking about something, Taran. The reason that we never got the bathroom a plea with Rockstar as her advisor, because that would have made Haleigh look stupid, and they don't do that on Big Brother 20. Mm-hmm. They always try to put Haleigh in a good light. So I feel like that's sort of what's happening here with the jury roundtable, which makes me nervous that she is going to vote for Kaycee because they don't want to make her look bitter. But I am hopeful that she will come around because I do feel like Tyler is probably the more deserving winner. And I know people who are friends of me in the chat, and they text with me. Look, I'm not a gushing fan of Tyler, but I feel like you have to give it up to him, you guys. And I'm not betraying anybody because I feel like that Tyler's played the best overall game here. I feel like that what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to think of what I want to say. Fair minds have prevailed. Yeah, I'm calling it as I see it, as I always do. And don't come for me just because I think that Tyler's probably the most fair winner here.
All right, so you're saying Tyler. The audience agrees with us as well, saying Tyler, then Kaycee.
Yeah, of course. It's always about Tyler.
JC. Then we've got Scottie. Which spoiler alert, the audience says Tyler, then Kaycee, then JC for Scottie as well. And I have to say, I'm inclined to, if I think that that Haleigh is leaning Tyler, I think that Scottie is probably also leaning Tyler. Although I don't think he's as lockstep with Haleigh as Fessy will be, but I do think that I think he was planning on voting for Tyler before he found out that Tyler betrayed him. Then he felt hurt. Then he talked with Haleigh about it, and Haleigh was like, yeah, but he played really well, right? And he was like, I guess. And so I feel like he has some turmoil. I think he could go either way. I think Scottie is even more 50-50 than Haleigh. I think Haleigh's like 55-45. I think Scottie's 50-50. I think he is completely up in the air. I do not know what Scottie is going to do, but because of Haleigh's influence, I'm gonna go slightly to Tyler here for my vote as well. Brent agrees. Melissa?
Sounds about right to me. In fact, I there's no chance he's ever voting for JC. I feel like that he'd vote for
Tyler, Kaycee, JC.
Tyler, Kaycee, JC.
All right, so there we go. Next up is Fessy. who I mean, Fessy is an obvious, I think, JC first. But then the question is, and the audience agrees with that as well, JC first. But then the question is Tyler or Kaycee. I personally, especially if I think Haleigh's leaning this way, I think Fessy is more naturally inclined to lean this way in the first place. I think Fessy is a lot more likely to vote Tyler, so I'm going to go with Tyler there as well. And the audience agrees with that pick. Also, Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think JC, Tyler, Kaycee for Fessy.
By the way, and yeah, I agree with that as well. I feel like that he's likely to follow Haleigh's lead, and it's close, but it's probably Tyler. But again, it's like 55-45, and that's exactly what 55-45 means. Is there is a 45% chance that something else happens other than what we're saying here today. Like, yes. I feel like that people don't understand the percentages sometimes. It's like Hillary and Trump in the election. They said that Trump had a 30% chance. That's not a 0% chance. That's a 30% chance. So there is a good chance that something could happen if you got 30%. But the same thing here with 45%. It's very close. The thing is to watch Haleigh. I do really feel that Fessy follows whatever Haleigh does here. I feel like they vote in lockstep. And the thing is that Haleigh controls a lot. Like, if Haleigh goes one way, I feel like 2 other votes come with her. And if she goes another way, I feel like the other votes probably don't come with her. I mean, or do come with her the other way. So it's like, it's that one vote. If he has it, then he's got a shot. But if he's not, then I feel like the door is closed.
Yes. All right. So let's move on to Rockstar. Rockstar, I do think, is a Kaycee vote. I think she's a Kaycee vote.
Kaycee, JC, Tyler.
Then a JC vote. Then a Tyler vote. I think
actually, it's Kaycee, JC, Palpatine.
Yes. Melissa, you agree with this?
Yep.
The audience does as well. Bayleigh, I think, is a Kaycee vote, but I think Bayleigh is Kaycee, Tyler, JC.
I agree as well.
Yes. All right.
Yep.
There you go. And Melissa agrees with that as well. So we're pretty in pretty lockstep here in terms of our predictions. The audience also agrees Kaycee, Tyler, and then JC. So not that many disagreements. So the audience is predicting a 7-2 win Tyler over Kaycee. Even though it's a 50-50 shot between who wins the game, they are predicting a 7-2 victory. Like I said, the Bayleigh is totally locked in for Kaycee. Rockstar is totally locked in for Kaycee. And then JC and Angela are totally locked in for Tyler in terms of the audience vote. Then it gets a little closer, but really for the most part, it's not completely locked, but Tyler's winning by a fairly large margin in a lot of these votes. But I think he's winning by a large margin, but all of those votes have a small margin, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So winning with it was by 7-2 according to the audience, and then according to us, we have Tyler winning by a vote of 6-3. We are all in agreement that he would beat Kaycee 6-3. Rockstar, Bayleigh, and Sam being the opposing votes. And then we didn't really talk too much about JC, but
who would win JC versus Kaycee?
I didn't write that down.
Yeah, we don't.
Well, I think it'd be interesting to see like who, because that's never gonna happen. I feel like the other ones are like possible, but I don't know.
Yes,
no. JC versus Kaycee would be interesting.
I'm pretty sure that the audience decided Kaycee would win over JC. But again, I feel like it's hard to nobody's really seriously considering that when they're voting. You know what I mean? Like, apart from Fessy, like nobody and Rockstar, nobody was really giving JC any votes in this whole thing. So
yeah.
I think that if it was likely that JC would be sitting there in the end with Kaycee, people would have given it more thought. Maybe we'd have more to talk about. But it's such an impossibility at this point that people aren't really minding to talk about it. But there we go. We're gonna see how correct we are, how wrong we are, and we'll track how this tracked over the course of the season as I asked these questions. But there you go. 7-2 according to the audience, 6-3 according to the LFC. Let's see how it goes. Let's go. Let's go to the finale.
I hope that there's some excitement, really, because I find myself very apathetic about this finale. I'm kind of just like, I kind of want to see if Tyler makes it over the finish line or not, you know? And I feel like it's almost spilling over into my Survivor as well, where I'm kind of apathetic about the season premiere of Survivor. So, like, I need a little spark, Taran. I need a little pick me up.
Yes, and for the record, the Joker's poll as well has Tyler beating Kaycee 6-3. So it's weird because all of the data, all of the polling is saying that they feel like Tyler, if they're looking at individual stats, is saying that they feel like Tyler's going to win. But all of the conversation is around Kaycee has this locked. They really feel like Kaycee, even a binary poll where it's Tyler or Kaycee, is split down the middle. So I feel like that's very, very interesting in terms of just like where you're seeing the votes go and how you're predicting the season to turn out. But there you go. Interesting stuff. Interesting data. That's the final Stockwatch data for the current. For during the season. We're gonna have a final one. It's gonna be great. But we gotta wrap up soon. So let's take a couple of quick questions here that I felt were interesting. Brittany wanted to know which jury member would be most likely to flip their vote during the questioning part when they're questioning the final two. I think, personally, Sam is the most likely person to flip her vote.
I was about to say the same.
Because I think that she has been sequestered away from influences for a few days. And then Sam, even just by nature, is very all over the place. So I feel like Sam is most likely. And then I think Scottie is the second most likely person to have a live vote in the final two questioning. Brent, what do you think?
I think it's probably fair. I think maybe Haleigh's up there as well. I feel like that there are things that could be said in a final two questioning that could persuade her one way or the other. But given that I feel like she already has a predilection to vote for Tyler, maybe not. I don't know. I think it's probably fair. Sam and who else did you say?
Scottie. I'd say Haleigh number 3.
Okay.
But there you go. Alex wants to know if there was a full traditional jury questioning segment, would Tyler run away with it?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because last season, if I was asked this about Paul, I would say no. I think the longer Paul has to talk, the more votes he loses. But I do think that if Tyler has time to explain his game, I do think that I'm gonna feel a lot more confident that he has this in the bag. So I am going to say yes. I do think so as well. Tom Palmer asked if we had a jury vote, what would we do? We already answered that question. Sorry, Tom.
We vote for Tyler.
Gonzalo Palma wants to know what would happen, or what would have to happen in this finale in order for the season to rank as high as it could in an overall season ranking. What is the most ideal outcome possible for this finale to give this season the best possible outcome? Okay,
I got it. So they go up to put their keys into the box. Bayleigh says something about an apology. Okay. We know what that means. Then Julie reads the keys backwards. It's 4-4. She gets the Bayleigh's vote. And he gave her the apology, and it's Tyler. I feel like that would probably be the most storybook, oh my God, he did it. He got over the finish line. Because in that scenario, it would probably be that he would probably, he would need her vote to win if it gets to the end, obviously. But if that's true, then things have gone a little wonky, and maybe people we didn't think were going to vote together didn't necessarily move together. So I think that would probably be the thing that's most exciting. I don't like it when I kind of know what's going to happen. I like it when things happen that I don't know what's going to happen. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I would like. I think that a Tyler win cements the season well in terms of history. I think Tyler's one of the best winners we've ever seen on the show. I think that's great for the season. So I think a Tyler win overall would be good for the season. However, if we're talking best case scenario, I would love for a surprise as well. So I think if Tyler won and then shocked everyone and said, you know what? JC, you're coming with me, and then won a jury vote against JC despite a Kaycee like screaming at him and all of level 6 freaking out and like everyone like not knowing what's going on, and Angela being like, you said you had a final 2 with Kaycee and that's why I got cut, but then you take JC, like, and there's a bunch of drama happening and then he still wins. I feel like that's my ideal situation.
Yeah. Although likely scenario is if he takes JC and there's like all that drama and chaos,
and
JC ends up being our winner.
And JC wins. Yeah,
look, I'm talking ideal. I'm talking ideal.
Yeah, like
ideal,
if we could guarantee a Tyler win, I'd be like, yeah, that'd be a great scenario. But yeah, I think a Tyler win, honestly, a lot of the time it's like you want like the not predictable thing to happen, and that's what makes it a crazy fun finale. But this one, like, I want Tyler to win. I think Tyler should win, and I think that the season gets a little bit tainted if he doesn't win.
By the way,
no,
I just want to say, like, I want Tyler to be doing the thumbs down motion when he's in the final 3 HOH, like he thinks it's a wrong answer, and then Julie says you're correct. And he's like, shit again. I'm like, because like he does that a lot when he knows he's wrong. He's like, oh, I'm out, or like JC won, or he basically is like trying to show us that he's smarter than what's that he knows that he knows what's happening before we know what's happening. Mm-hmm. So, I'd like to see a face cracker too on national TV. That'd be fun.
Yes, and I agree with what you're saying, Melissa, as well. Where it's like even though it was like Paul really deserved the loss in many ways last season, it still does make the season worse when Paul doesn't win. If that makes sense, where it's like it really just makes the season feel like why did we just watch this whole thing?
What was this whole thing? Yeah.
And I also feel like again, I feel like it's better for the show overall if Tyler, if like the Tyler gameplay is rewarded versus the Kaycee gameplay. Again, not taking anything away from Kaycee's game. It's not particularly entertaining.
Playing like that. Imagine like future seasons, everybody's like, I can't go against my team because no one will vote for me. I need to play. I need to be loyal, and I need to just like soldier on, and we march to the end together. Like, imagine that. That is so awful. That would be the absolute worst possible scenario for future Big Brother seasons. I think that it would be just a shame if Kaycee wins over someone like Tyler or someone like even JC, where, I mean, as much as Kaycee's a super nice person and, she didn't upset anyone. Yeah, great. She won competitions. Like, I don't think she's a bad person. I'm not like, mad at her or anything, but I'm just imagining for the future. It's like JC played his butt off. JC made crazy moves. He made stupid moves. He did like everything. He was just like out there ready to win. And Kaycee didn't have that fire in her. She didn't care if it was her at the end or someone else from level 6. I think she'd be just as excited as if it was Tyler and Angela in the end and she had gotten out. Like, I really truly believe that as long as someone from level 6 won, she'd be happy. And that's not the way you play this game. And I don't want to see future seasons where everyone's just like, as long as someone from our team gets the end, we're good. That's the key, is like JC played his butt off. Tyler played his butt off. And Kaycee, I don't think she played her butt off. As non-eloquent as that is.
I agree with. By the way, Taran, you called her a soldier, I agree. She's probably a team player, soldier, coaster. She's all elements of those things, and I think that's very true. Like that's just who she is, and she's never going to go against who she is. So the things that we're asking of her to do are just not in her nature. By the way, people in the chat that were like, when I was trying to beat Tyler there for a second in my final 2 speech, they're like, oh, I'm never taking Brent to the end because you can. Girl, please. Like, if I was at the final 2, I'd be like, I came here to kick ass. I kicked ass. Give me the damn money. Girl, bye. Like, and then I'd sit there and laugh and drink like a cocktail, laughing at the jury. That'd be what I would do. So, just so you know.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up here for tonight's roundtable. The final one during the season. As I mentioned, there will be a wrap up. I will also be live tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern to update you with my final live feed update of the season. It'll just be me. Let's hang out. You can ask me questions. We'll have a nice chill morning. It'll be just like the final 3, sitting in the house, chilling, doing whatever. We'll have some fun. And then
they'll get to say goodbye tomorrow, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And so then tomorrow night, during the finale, you can find me on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. If you want to watch it with me, we can live the excitement together. It'll be very fun. And then after the finale, we will be live on the podcast to talk about
all of us.
Yes, all of us, and we will react to the everything that happened. We'll talk about it. We'll examine it to death. It'll be so much fun. So we'll lots of fun tomorrow. It's going to be an exciting day. Order pizza. Do whatever you want to do. Have some fun on a Big Brother Wednesday. And the Survivor premiere is also going to happen. You can check out First One Out. The final chapter of First One Out will be out after the premiere airs. You can check that out. Lots of fun stuff there. And yeah, I mean, anything else, guys?
I think that's it. It's been a great season. Can't wait to see the end of it tomorrow.
Great season. This honestly has been such a good, fun season. I mean, last year it was just like dreading every time we had to just like recap like nothingness. And this has been so great. It's been so fun. And I hope that many seasons to come are this fun.
Yes. All right. So there we go. And yes, Know-It-Alls next week. If you're heading to New York to hang out at the Survivor Know-It-Alls, make sure you stop by and say hi.
Yes. Yes, come up and say hi. Like, if people that are like, oh, I'm nervous to come. I was nervous to come up and say, please. I'm just like you. I just got a freaking microphone shoved in my face. Like, I mean, I'm just a fan. Like, come up and say hi, and we'll chill and drink. And I drink Coke, and Taran drinks Sprite, but whatever.
I don't drink Sprite. I drink water.
What do you drink? Water. Sorry. I knew it was clear. I just remember
Sprite.
Yeah.
Like
Sprite.
I drink Sprite.
Yes, come up and say hi. Don't be shy.
Yes. All right. So thank you, everyone. This has been such a delight all season long. I hope that you join us at some point after the finale for our final roundup of the season. There's always plenty of great stuff to talk about. We'll talk about this season in the context of the history of the show. We'll talk about the winner, where they rank. We'll talk about everybody's game across the entire season. There's so much to talk about. So I do hope you guys stick with us after the season ends. But for now, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Armstrong Taran. Melissa is at It's Melissa with 3 A's. Brent is at It's One at One Lucky Gay. Not It's One Lucky Gay, but just One Lucky Gay. So for Brent and Melissa, I am Taran Armstrong. We don't have a hashtag. I forgot about a hashtag.
By the way, are you doing Twitch tonight? Because they keep asking. Are you doing Twitch after this?
Probably not. I need to make sure I get my sleep. Not. It's going to be a long day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes. But do you do a quick hashtag?
Just final roundtable or something.
Yeah. Hashtag final roundtable. Sounds good to me. Nice and clean.
Hashtag final roundtable. We will see you next time.